Let me tell you something today that most people will never hear in their lifetime. Most people, when they get hurt, they want to fight back. They want to argue. They want to post something on social media. They want to call someone. They want to make sure the person who hurt them knows that they are in pain. And I want to ask you a simple question today. Why? Why do you want the person who hurt you to know that they got to you? Why do you want to hand them the proof that their arrow landed? Why do you want to show them that they have that kind of power over your life? Listen to me. Weak people take revenge. I said weak people take revenge. They cannot control what they feel, so they react. They cannot manage their pain, so they explode. They cannot see beyond the moment, so they make decisions they will regret for the rest of their lives. But strong people do something different. Strong people go silent. Strong people go to work. Strong people build something so beautiful with their lives that the very person who tried to destroy them ends up watching from a distance, wishing they had never touched them. This is what we are talking about today. 7 silent behaviors, 7 quiet moves that make the people who hurt you sit up one day and feel the weight of what they did. Not because you told them, not because you screamed at them, not because you called their mother, but because your life became the loudest message they ever received. Stay with me. This is going to change the way you think about pain, about silence, and about power. Behavior, number 1, total silence. I want you to understand something fundamental today, something that the world has gotten completely backwards. We live in a generation that believes response is strength. We think that if someone talks about you, you must talk back. If someone attacks you, you must defend yourself. If someone spreads a lie, you must immediately go and correct it publicly. We think that silence means weakness. We think that going quiet means you lost. But I am here to tell you today that silence is one of the most powerful weapons a human being can carry. Silence is power. I said silence is power. When someone hurts you and you do not react, do you know what happens inside that person? Let me tell you. They expect a reaction. They planned for a reaction. They are waiting for you to fall apart. They are waiting for you to call them, to text them, to argue with them, to cry in public, to post something emotional online. They have already prepared their response to your response. They are ready for war. And then you give them nothing. You give them complete, total, absolute silence. And that silence starts to eat at them, because they cannot win an argument with someone who will not speak. They cannot hurt someone who will not react. They cannot feel powerful over someone who acts like they do not exist. Think about it this way. When a child throws a tantrum in a store, what do the best parents do? They do not scream back. They do not argue. They do not give the child the emotional reaction the child is looking for. They stay calm. They stay quiet. And that child eventually realizes that the tantrum is not working. The people who hurt you are often doing the same thing. They are throwing a tantrum. They are trying to get a reaction out of you. They want to see that they matter enough to disturb your peace. When you go silent, you remove that reward. You take away their prize. Now, I want to be very clear. This silence I'm talking about is not the silence of someone who is broken and hiding. This is the silence of someone who is powerful and building. There is a big difference. One person is silent because they have nothing left. The other person is silent because they have decided that some people in some situations are not worth their breath. You must decide today that not everything deserves your reaction. Not every stone that is thrown at you deserves to be thrown back. Some stones you simply let fall to the ground and you keep walking. When you stop reacting, you start winning. When you go silent, you begin to grow. And slowly, slowly, the person who hurt you starts to realize that you were never as easy to destroy as they thought. Behavior. Number 2, massive success. Now, this is the one that truly separates the strong from the average. This is the one that I love to teach because it turns pain into fuel. It turns a wound into a weapon, not against them, against mediocrity, against settling, against staying small. Massive success. Building your life so high, so wide, so deep, that the people who tried to push you down can only look up at you from where they are standing. Let me say this plainly. The best response to someone who doubted you is your success. The best answer to someone who disrespected you is your growth. The best revenge, if you even want to call it that, is becoming so much more than they ever thought you could be. Success is the loudest silence. I said success is the loudest silence. When someone hurts you, they are making a statement. They are saying you are not important enough to be treated with respect. They are saying I do not value you. They are saying you are beneath me. And the most powerful thing you can do in response is not to argue with that statement. It is to go nourish your life, the answer. You build your business, you finish your degree, you get healthy, you travel, you grow spiritually, you raise your children well, you create something beautiful, you step into the purpose that God placed inside you before you were ever born. And one day, not today, not next week, but one day, that person who hurt you is going to see what your life has become. They are going to see the level you are operating at. They are going to see the peace on your face and the fruit of your work. And something is going to happen inside them. A quiet, deep, heavy regret. The kind that keeps you up at night, not because you hurt them back, but because they lost someone who was going all the way up. They let go of someone who was going to be great. They pushed away someone who had something real inside them. Your success becomes their lesson. Your growth becomes their conviction. Your life becomes the sermon they never asked to sit in, but could not escape. So I want to ask you this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you're watching from, what are you building? What are you creating? What are you becoming? Because if you are sitting around thinking about the person who hurt you, you are wasting the very energy that should be going into your purpose. Pain is fuel. I said, pain is fuel. Stop crying over it and start using it. Every time you think about what they did, go do something productive. Go write one more page. Go make one more call. Go take one more step toward your dream. Convert that emotional energy into creative energy. Make your life so full and so rich that you genuinely do not have time to think about people who chose to walk out of it. This is how you win. Not by fighting them, by building something they cannot ignore. Behavior number 3, lack of explanation. This one is so simple, and yet it is so hard for most people to do. Stop explaining yourself to people who hurt you. Stop it. I mean that. Stop calling them to explain why you are upset. Stop writing long messages explaining how much they hurt you. Stop telling mutual friends the full story of what happened. Stop going back to the same conversation over and over, hoping that this time they will finally understand. They understand. They understood the first time. The question is not whether they get it. The question is whether they care. And if they truly cared, they would not have hurt you in the first place. I want you to hear this. You do not owe an explanation to someone who chose to disrespect you. You do not owe closure to someone who chose to wound you. You do not owe a detailed breakdown of your emotions to someone who decided your feelings were not worth considering. Move on. Just move on. Without a speech, without a final conversation, without a farewell address. Now some of you are saying, but Dr. Munroe, I need them to understand. I need them to know how much they hurt me. Why? What will that give you? Let us say they finally understand. Let us say they look at you and say, you are right. I see exactly how I hurt you. I am sorry. Then what? Does the pain disappear? Does the wound close? Does the broken trust come back together like nothing happened? Or is it possible that you are seeking explanation not because it will heal you, but because you are still hoping they will come back? That if they just understand enough, they will change and things will go back to how they were? I want to challenge you on that today. Because that hope, as beautiful as it feels, can become a prison. It can keep you attached to someone and something that has already shown you who it is. Sometimes the most healing thing you can do is walk away with your mouth closed. Walk away without giving them the satisfaction of seeing your full pain. Walk away with your head up and your lips sealed. Silence in leaving is dignity. I said silence in leaving is dignity. You do not need to announce your exit. You do not need to explain your boundaries. You do not need to justify your peace. Some doors in your life you close quietly. You do not slam them. You do not burn them down. You simply close them. And you walk forward. The less you explain, the more powerful your exit becomes. The more you talk, the more ammunition you give them. The more you justify yourself to people who never valued you, the more time you lose that could be spent building the life they never believed you could have. Stop explaining. Start moving. The best explanation is where you end up. Behavior number 4, self-mastery. This is perhaps the most important behavior on this entire list, because without this one, none of the others work. Without self-mastery, you will always be vulnerable. Without self-mastery, anyone who knows how to push the right button can bring you down. Self-mastery is the ability to control your own emotions. It is the ability to feel the fire and not become the fire. It is the ability to be angry without being controlled by anger. It is the ability to be hurt without being defined by the hurt. And this is rare. I said, this is rare. Most people are not masters of themselves. Most people are slaves to their emotions. When they are happy, they are reckless. When they are sad, they are paralyzed. When they are angry, they say things they cannot take back. When they are afraid, they make decisions that ruin their future. But the person who has learned to master themselves, that person is dangerous in the best possible way, because you cannot control someone who controls themselves. You cannot trigger someone who has stopped allowing external things to pull internal reactions out of them. Think about what it would mean for your life if no one could get to you anymore. Think about what it would look like if the person who hurt you tried everything and nothing landed. They said something cruel and you smiled. They tried to embarrass you and you stayed calm. They pushed and you did not fall. They pulled and you did not follow. That is not coldness. That is not hardness. That is mastery. Self-mastery starts with a decision that says, my peace is more important than my pride. My future is more important than this moment. My purpose is more important than this person. And then it takes practice every single day. You practice staying calm when things are difficult. You practice breathing before you respond. You practice choosing your reaction instead of just having a reaction. You practice the discipline of thinking before you speak, especially when you are emotional. The people who hurt you were counting on your emotions to make you their instrument. They were counting on you to react in a way that would embarrass you. They were counting on you to lose control and give them the story they wanted to tell. Take that power away from them. Become someone they cannot rattle. Become someone whose peace does not depend on their behavior. Become so rooted in who you are that no person, no situation, no storm can pull you up from the ground. When you master yourself, you master your circumstances. When you master yourself, you become impossible to destroy, because the only way to truly destroy a person is to get them to destroy themselves. And a person who has mastered their emotions will never do that. Behavior. Number 5, kindness from a distance. Now, this one tends to confuse people, so I want to explain it very carefully. There's a way to be kind to someone without giving them access to your life. There is a way to wish someone well without letting them back through your door. There is a way to hold no bitterness toward a person while still holding a firm boundary between them and your peace. This is what I call kindness from a distance. Most people think that forgiveness means restoration. They think that if you truly forgive someone, you must let them back in. You must go back to how things were. You must remove every wall and open every window and pretend that nothing happened. That is not forgiveness. That is foolishness dressed up in spiritual language. Real forgiveness means you release the anger. You release the bitterness. You release the desire for revenge. You stop letting what they did live rent-free in your mind and your heart. You choose your own freedom over the prison of hatred. But forgiveness does not mean re-entry. Forgiveness does not mean you hand them the key to your life again. Forgiveness does not mean you erase the evidence of what they showed you about who they are. You can smile at someone from across the room and never invite them to your table. You can genuinely hope someone lives well and never speak to them again. You can carry zero hatred for a person in your heart while still protecting your space with wisdom and firmness. And here is the beautiful thing about this behavior. When you move in kindness without bitterness, it confuses the people who hurt you. They expect you to be cold and hard. They expect you to carry a visible wound. They expect your hatred because it makes them feel less guilty. It is easier for them to say, she became bitter or he became mean, because then they can justify what they did. But when you walk in genuine kindness, when you have no visible wound, when your eyes carry no hatred, that is when they are truly confronted, because they have to face the fact that what they did was wrong. And they cannot defend themselves against your peace. They cannot argue with your joy. Be kind. Be genuinely kind. But know the difference between open doors and open hearts. Your heart can be open towards someone while your door stays firmly closed. Behavior number 6, focusing on purpose. I have taught this all my life. Purpose is the most powerful thing a human being can possess. More powerful than money, more powerful than talent, more powerful than connections. Because when you know why you are here, nothing that happens to you can stop you from getting there. And when it comes to the people who have hurt you, purpose is the greatest distraction in the best possible sense of the word. When you are truly focused on your purpose, you become so consumed by what you are building that you simply do not have room in your mind for people who chose to leave your life or wound your heart. They become small. Not because you made them small, but because your vision became so big that they naturally stop taking up space. Think about a person who is completely on fire for what they're called to do. Think about someone who wakes up every morning with a mission in their chest. They have a plan for the day. They have goals for the year. They have a vision for their life. They are working, growing, learning, creating, serving. They are moving forward with everything they have. Do you think that person goes to bed at night replaying old conversations with people who hurt them? Do you think they spend hours scrolling through someone's social media, watching what that person is doing? Do you think they are consumed by bitterness and pain? No, because they are too busy with something that matters more. Purpose is the cure for obsession over the past. I said purpose is the cure for obsession over the past. You were not created to spend your best years thinking about people who chose not to value you. You were created to do something on this earth that matters, something that will outlast your feelings, something that will serve people, build communities, change minds, shift cultures. God placed a specific assignment inside you before you took your first breath. And that assignment is not connected to whether or not someone stayed. It is not connected to whether or not someone approved of you. It is not connected to whether or not someone believed in you. Your purpose is yours. It belongs to you. And no person who hurts you can take it from you unless you let them. So today I am giving you a challenge. The next time you catch yourself thinking about the person who hurt you, immediately redirect that energy. Pick up your pen, open your laptop, call that mentor, go to that class, start that project, move toward your dream. Just one step, just one small move. Because one step toward your purpose is worth more than 1,000 hours of thinking about your past. One action toward your calling is worth more than 1,000 tears over someone who chose to walk away. Get so busy being who you were called to be that you genuinely forget they even exist. Not out of hate, out of focus, out of fire, out of love for the life God designed specifically for you. Behavior number 7, inner peace. We have come to the last behavior. And I want you to understand that this one is not really the end. It is actually the foundation. It is the thing that holds all the others together. Without this, the other 6 behaviors are just techniques. But with this, they become a way of life. Inner peace. The kind of peace that no person gave you. The kind of peace that no relationship, no success, no compliment, no validation created inside you. A peace that is rooted in something so deep, so real, so unshakable, that no person and no situation can take it from you. I want to talk to you about a smile, a specific kind of smile. There is a smile that people put on because they are fine. And then there is a smile that comes from somewhere inside you that is untouchable. The first one you wear like a mask. The second one you cannot help but show because it is the overflow of something real that lives inside you. That second smile. That is what I am talking about. That is what your peace produces. And that is what absolutely undoes the people who tried to break you. Because they thought that by hurting you, they took your joy. They thought that by leaving, they took your happiness. They thought that by their cruelty or their rejection or their betrayal, they carved something out of you that you would spend the rest of your life missing. And then they see you months later, maybe years later, and you are smiling. And it is not a performance. It is not something you practice in the mirror before you walked out the door. It is just you, whole, peaceful, alive. And they realize with a weight that is very hard to carry that they did not take anything from you that you did not find again. And not just find, but find in a deeper place than you had it before. Inner peace is not the absence of pain. Let me make that very clear. Inner peace is not pretending that nothing happened. It is not denying that you were wounded. It is not putting on a false face while you cry in private. Inner peace is the settled knowing that your life is still in the right hands, that the one who placed purpose in you has not lost track of you, that the wound you carry today is not the final word on your story, that what was meant to destroy you is actually doing something different. It is building you, it is refining you, it is preparing you. Peace is not given by people. Peace is not given by money. Peace is not given by success, though success can come from peace. Peace is the product of a right relationship with the God who made you and the honest acceptance of who you are and why you are here. And the beautiful thing about this kind of peace is that it has nothing to do with the person who hurt you. They cannot create it and they cannot destroy it. It existed before they arrived in your life, and it will exist long after they are gone from your thoughts. When they see you walking in this kind of peace, they feel something that they might call jealousy or confusion. But deep down, what they actually feel is conviction. The quiet, heavy conviction that comes when someone has wronged a person who was genuinely good, and that person rose anyway. Your peace is your testimony. I said, your peace is your testimony. It tells a story without a single word. It says, I went through fire and I did not burn. It says, someone tried to take everything from me and I still have something they cannot touch. It says, I have access to a source of joy that no human being controls. That is powerful. That is undefeatable. That is what makes people regret hurting you more than anything else you could ever do or say. Closing, the full picture. Let me bring it all together for you now. 7 behaviors, 7 silent moves that say more than any argument ever could. You went silent when they expected noise. You built your life when they expected you to fall apart. You stopped explaining yourself when they expected a long performance of your pain. You mastered your emotions when they expected to trigger you. You stayed kind from a distance when they expected hatred. You focused on your purpose when they expected you to be consumed by your loss. And you walked in peace when they expected you to carry a wound they could see. Together, these 7 behaviors create a life that speaks for itself, a life that serves as its own answer its own statement, its own quiet victory. And I want to be very honest with you about something. This is not always easy. Some mornings you will wake up and the pain is fresh. Some nights the thoughts will come back and it will feel like none of this is working. You will be tempted to pick up the phone and say everything you have been holding inside. You will be tempted to react, to explain, to fight. In those moments, go back to these 7. Choose one, just one. In that moment, go silent. Even if it is just for that one conversation you were about to start, take one step toward your purpose. Even if it is just one small action, breathe. Choose your peace. Even if it is just for the next 5 minutes. Small choices made consistently become character. Character becomes destiny. And destiny becomes the life that makes people who doubted you or hurt you sit with their regret. You were not made to be a small person living a small life consumed by small pain. You were made for something greater than what they did to you. You were made for something more lasting than that wound. You were made to be a person whose life tells a story of resilience, of growth, of grace, of purpose. So walk in silence, walk in success, walk in peace, walk in purpose. Walk with your head lifted and your eyes forward and your hands busy with the work of building something beautiful, because that is the truest, deepest, most lasting way to make sure that anyone who ever tried to hold you down spends the rest of their life watching what you became and wishing they had chosen differently. Your silence speaks. Your life speaks. Your peace speaks. Let them speak.